You're locked into the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship. This round is MotoAmerica Superbikes at Virginia. The class, Parts Unlimited Talent Cup by Motul in our 5th round of 7 for 2025. We're at Virginia International Raceway, also known as VIR, here in Alton, Virginia. Race 2 on deck. Welcome to the broadcast booth. I'm Greg White, standing alongside two-time national champ Jason Pridmore. Now, Jason, yesterday's race was interesting because we had an expectation that we would have about 8 riders that are all going to race together, but it was blown apart by some weird stuff.
Yeah, it usually happens that way in Talent Cup. We usually will see a big group drafting, or we'll see some mistakes made. Yesterday was the latter of the two. As you see Bodie Page take the lead, you're going to see DeMario go up underneath him, but watch the exit of this corner for Bodie Page. Ooh. Absolutely dead sideways for the 65. He would end up actually tipping off, Greg, in turn 3. You can see Cody Kopp. We didn't know that yesterday. Cody Kopp came from a long way back after running off the grass, into the grass. Now, you see Hank Vosberg there on the 31. He was chasing DeMario, only to have DeMario have issues with his linkage. Vosberg would go on to win, with Sam Drain and Ella Dreyer getting her maiden podium here in Talent Cup.
So Vosberg with his 2nd consecutive win and his 3rd of the season. But these racers have to get on this racetrack, which is phenomenal. Tell us about VIR.
Great track. A lot of passing opportunities down in turn 1 after drafting down that big straightaway. By the time you get to turn 7, Greg, you've gone through a series of S's. Turn 7 is where we saw Bodie sideways on the exit. Get to turn 10, and it's all downhill from there, all the way to that run to turn 14, which is the fast kink here, right by the start-finish line.
Well, for your championship points leader, he snapped a 23-race podium streak. Can he get it going again? We're going to find out on the other side.
4 race wins through the season so far for DeMario in the Talent Cup class, Raj, on the podium in every race except for yesterday. And obviously the expectation is that the number 27 will bounce right back. He had a dominant lead before his technical issue, but rode well considering that he was stuck in gear to be able to hold on for that 5th place finish.
Yeah, this podium streak was broke, but he was leading and had that race in the bag. So unfortunately for him, tough today, I think, after having that happen, and going to be out with looking for a little bit of revenge.
He's already wrapped up the Twins Cup Championship for the year, and for Alessandro DeMario here on the number 27 machine, the middle of the front row will be his reward for qualifying. What we've seen from Hank Vosberg, though, over the course of the season has been really impressive, whether it was in the Talent Cup class or in the Twins Cup class where he's jumped in from the ridge onwards. He really has looked like a rider that's ready to be a front runner across the board in the smaller classes.
And the guys behind Alessandro DeMario do not need to get in a huge battle with each other. They did that yesterday, and it really let Alessandro check out. So they need to stay together where he can't break that draft up that front straightaway, because they'll be able to keep him in the race.
Just with these Kramer 350 bikes as well, what we've seen for DeMario has been that at different tracks this year, he has been able to be very dominant, and he's got that experience, he's got the confidence, and he knows how to win from the front. That's where it's been interesting to see what Vosberg has been able to do over the last couple of rounds. 2nd place in at the Mid-Ohio Vintage Days, race victor as well there, and then race winner yesterday. So he's only dropped 5 points in the last 3 races.
You can see Cody Kopp here. Hopefully he can. Almost got on the podium yesterday. We're going to see he's been improving so much this year. It'd be great to see that flat tracker stand on the podium.
Cody Kopp just missed out on a podium finish yesterday. Greg White and Jason Pridmore are going to call the action all the way through this 12-lap race.
Parts Unlimited Talent Cup by Motul is brought to you by Parts Unlimited, an industry-leading distributor of aftermarket power sports parts and accessories. Parts Unlimited, we support the sport. By Motul, powering the future of racing. And by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
Welcome back to Virginia International Raceway. Good onboard look how you get into the track. Here's a look at the starting grid for this Parts Unlimited Talent Cup by Motul with Vosberg on pole.
Then we have DeMario and King, Kopp, Page, and Drain outside of row 2. A little further back, Correa, Betancourt, Ella Dreyer on the podium yesterday. Nice to see Garcia, Sanchez, Fraley. And then back there on row 5, we've got Solly Mervis. So, yeah, Greg, it's gonna. Let's hope that we don't have as much, let's say, excitement or action as we had yesterday in the wrong direction in this race today.
Yeah, we want to see nice, clean first lap and see where everybody sorts themselves out. 12 laps scheduled for this race number 2 at the Parts Unlimited Talent Cup by Motul. We're going to see also if Hank Vosberg can turn his pole position into at least closer, because in the ruckus that happened in the first couple laps yesterday, Vosberg found himself quite a ways behind DeMario. All riders in their grid positions, so we're all formed up and ready to rock and roll when these lights go out. Away we go, and a look clean launch from the front row. And DeMario trying to get a draft off of Vosberg. That's the 31. You see the 27 DeMario pull out into turn number 1, and he will take over the spot.
Definitely made that happen, didn't he, Greg? You called it early as he runs a little bit wide. Vosberg now looking up the inside. They could be side by side here. Yes, it's going to be DeMario, and Vosberg's going to take a shot. Nope, not quite there. Up close enough. Bodie Page running third. Looks like Drain's got himself up to fourth. Cody Kopp's a lot closer, obviously, after yesterday. We didn't realize he had gone off the track, did we, Greg? And he was off out in the grass, so it was a great comeback ride from the 12. All the pack going through those infield turns all tied up together, but the front two now, Greg, starting to separate themselves ever so slightly.
This is what we were interested to see with Vosberg, with DeMario out front, if he can stick with him. So up the hill they go for the first time, and already that slight gap. DeMario just so good on brand new tires. Look at Kopp making a move.
Great move from Cody there, and that's a big committed pass. When you start thinking about passing people going up into that little area there, Greg, it's a big commitment.
More moves being made up the inside. So there's the number 40 of Julian Correa, who of course was over in Europe racing at our last event when we were at Mid-Ohio last weekend. So it's good to see Correa back in the mix and making moves in the top 5.
And it looks like, Greg, we're going to have a big group battling for that third spot, doesn't it? And Cody's put himself in that mix along with Bodie Page. See Ella Dreyer right there. She's there as well. She's right behind. They're 5 wide coming across that start-finish line at the moment. So that is 5 wide going through as Vosberg's doing everything he can to hold on to Mario. Page is going to find himself with Correa right behind him. Drain, and Drain's trying to go around the outside of Cody Kopp and kind of makes it. Carson King just a little bit off the back of these, but he'll find his way up to them, as well as Betancourt and Garcia.
So the 2 out front, a little closer than they were half a lap ago. Let's go to the third member of our broadcast team, Jamie Howe.
We're going to talk about Alessandro DeMario continuing to lead this one. You said, can he get back to the podium, that 23 race podium streak that he had? Well, he already got back to the podium. Following the Talent Cup race yesterday, he secured another win, his 9th of the season in the Twins Cup Championship, locking up that title. So he is now a 2-time Twins Cup champion here in MotoAmerica. But for today, he said he's just hoping that everything stays together. He can keep his head down and continue to go out there and go for some championship points. Ultimately, what happened was one of the 2 bolts that hold that shifter level on ended up breaking, and so the shifter fell. He was stuck in 4th gear for the last 2 laps of the race. He even tried to reach down. We saw it on the camera. What was he doing? He was trying to reach down and shifted himself with his hand. Wasn't successful doing that, but he wants it bad. He wants those points, and he really just wants his Talent Cup title.
Yeah, and a lot of people got to keep in mind, these are 350 single motocross engines by KTM, and so there's only 5 speeds in the gearbox. But what we saw was the ability to go 116, 118 miles an hour for DeMario yesterday. That was cut down to in the 90s, right? It was like 90.7 miles an hour. That's the difference between 4th and 5th gear as they continue to battle up front. Vosberg came across the stripe in the lead, did a 1:34.947, fastest lap of the race. DeMario able to draft and pass, get around him by turn number 1, and that's what we're looking at now.
Look, these 2 guys have separated themselves 34.97, Greg. I have to look back and see what they qualified at, but I think it's quite a bit quicker than the pole time that Vosberg ran in qualifying on Friday afternoon. So when you look at it there, Vosberg had done a 36.4. 34.9, that's incredible. Just under our commentary position, I see Carson King pulling in, so that's a shame. He was in that battle that was going to kind of fight it out for 3rd. Correa had opened up a 0.6 of a second lead over the group behind. You can see that group back there fighting for 3rd as we go back to these lead 2. And DeMario right now trying to make a little bit of a break here in the 2nd sector.
9.5 laps to go, and DeMario's getting this little break done. But for the 31 of Vosberg, he's got to stay just close enough to catch a whiff of that draft, because DeMario, quite tall in stature, he does punch a pretty big hole in the air. Jamie, what you got?
An interesting point of these two pulling out over the rest of the field is they actually are roommates here this weekend. They're staying here at the racetrack, and they went back together last night and rewatched the first race of the weekend. Hank Vosberg saying, you know, it was kind of lonely after Alessandro had his problems, but he was able to watch some of the lines that Alessandro was taking, and he said, I learned a ton from just sitting there and watching everybody else with them. So he feels like he might potentially be able to even make a move around him today.
Well, he's going to have to stay in touch with him for sure if he's going to get that done. And Hank had a really good braking zone into turn number 1 and was able to close that gap up. But it's this section where DeMario seems to shine.
DeMario seems really solid once they get down to turn 7 across that ridge line. And for Vosberg, this is great for him. Here's that battle for third. Correa has been trying to get away. And at times we've seen him be able to get away from this battle. But it's going to be Drain there taking the fight to him now as he's closed that gap down as the 2 leaders are breaking into 7. Then we're going to see this big war back here. Correa's over Drain right now. Bodie Page. There's Ella Dreas. She's going to do her best to outbreak Bodie Page. Looked like she was going to make that move, and she does, Greg. So Ella Dreas gets through on Page. Cody Kopp now behind Bodie as well. So Drea now, she needs to try to see if she can get herself up to the back of the 2 in front of her. She's got a lot of pace up through here, Greg. So she's closing that gap down. And again, we see that gap open up between DeMario and Vosberg in that sector 2 spot.
Good racing going on for the podium. Now in terms of splits, it is Hank Vosberg in sector number 2 who's losing about half a second, as we can clearly see. And this is what DeMario wants to do. So for Vosberg, he can't let this large of a gap continue to happen. He's not quite in the draft, and that's what DeMario is hoping for. And Jay, you can really feel someone when they get into your draft, can't you?
You absolutely can. Look at this back here for third. Ella Drea not only ran those 2 down, she drafted them across the line. So the 22 is going to lead the way into turn number 1 here. So Ella takes her shot at trying to hold on to this 3rd place. Drain with her, Correa there. And so good for Ella being able to back up that podium finish yesterday as Sam Drain takes a shot down the inside. He's not going to make it as Dreyer just shuts the door on him.
And Jamie, we all know the 22, very aggressive.
And she qualified on the 3rd row, had to start there again today despite that podium finish yesterday. But being able to race herself up into the top 3 gave her a ton of confidence. The team went to work overnight. I talked to Melissa Paris out on the grid, and they said, we figured a lot of things out on this bike. Morning warm-up went great for her, and they had a lot of confidence coming into the race today. It's great to see it play out on the screen.
Now, Jamie, quick question. Did you see Melissa Paris, team owner, on the grid before this race?
I did.
And what was it like?
What do you mean?
Well, rumor has it that Melissa said, because Ella had a bet with her, saying that if she was on the podium yesterday, that Melissa would have to be on the grid in a tutu. That's what I heard.
I did not notice a tutu. She was out there. She was offering a lot of motivation, and Avery, Ella's brother, was also out there. He was playing the part of water boy, so she certainly has a great group around her, but I did not see a tutu.
Okay, well.
I will confirm that I saw
right.
it. So, yeah, I did see this, so that's pretty good. So, a bet's a bet, right?
Bet's a bet.
Bet's a bet.
And we know they're happening all over the place, right? With these different riders and shaving heads and all kinds of stuff.
Watch right now. Bodie Page and Cody Kopp are going to be able to draft right up onto the back of the 3 in front of them. Wouldn't be surprised to see Bodie or Cody down there in turn 1 be able to get through on everybody. You can see they're 4 wide in the braking zone. And who's it going to be? It's going to be Ella Dreyer. Page now jumps himself into 4th. Correa, Drain, and Kopp. And you're going to continue to see over the next 6.5 laps, this is going to swap back and forth all the time down that front straightaway.
So Ella seems to have a little bit of a wider line coming out of that turn 2 section. And the number 65, Sam Drain, has a much tighter line, and he's trying to make a move, but with the 22, she's able to hold on to the track position and not allow him a moment to get in there. Back up front we go. It's 1/10 of a second when they came across the line. And so that's on the back of 4/10 of a second quicker by Vosberg than DeMario with 6.5 laps
the first
to go.
split, there's nothing in it, is it?
No.
The first split, they just do the first split over and over. And look, this is what I like seeing. Vosberg's obviously adjusted something, fixed something to make it to where he can hang with DeMario in that second split. Now this is going to give him an opportunity, if he chooses, to be able to draft DeMario down the front straightaway, where that opportunity wasn't available to him for basically the first 3 or 4 laps. So he's made an adjustment. He's now closer. That second split is a lot closer now. It's only 2/10 as opposed. So now Vosberg's going to decide if he wants to lead this race or not.
So Vosberg on the Tytler Cycle Racing entry. trying to find the draft of the Warhorse Ducati American racing machine of DeMario. He's there clearly. Now he's been strong in turn 1. They almost go side by side. You can really get a good look at it though with the shadow on the racetrack. And so Vosberg doesn't. If he had it, he decided not to make it.
Don't you get kind of the feeling like he's just kind of sitting there? I kind of got that feeling there. He was in the draft, but kind of sitting up and kind of wasn't really that interested. And here's that battle again. Bodie Page is now leading that group with Drain, and look who's in the back of it now, Ella. So she got drafted down the front straightaway by everybody. So it's Page, Drain, Correa, Kopp, and Ella. As you see Melissa there.
There's Melissa. Don't see the tutu. But Bodie Page on the Bodie Page Racing Mission Foods D&D certified machine. Now leading the pack, number 59, Drain. Both those riders out of Australia on the Yamaha Blue Crew Estenson Racing entry. Nice move by Page to hold on. Jamie, what do you got?
Remember yesterday in race number 1, Bodie Page had to take it on the chin with the DNF, and talking to him out on the grid, he said after going back and re-watching the incident, what he needed to do today was just stay focused, stay patient, and not be as aggressive as what he was. He felt like he was just overly optimistic, and that ultimately cost him being able to get a solid result. And you can see he's a lot more calm today. He's making it more and more laps and just really trying to go through those paces.
Ooh, in that section, he really pulled out a couple of bike lengths as well coming down the hill. And that's always a good sign, especially if you're having to fight this hard for the final spot on the podium.
You know, Greg, when you hear Jamie give that report, this is a class where you'd almost expect more mistakes to be made, and we really don't see that many. And that just goes to show the level of riders that we have in this class. These 5 have been locked together, just drafting and redrafting, and who's going to lead it down into this turn this time? It looks like Drain's going to take that over Correa. But the thing is that the mistakes that get made, they learn from him and they build on him. So Bodie going back, watching what he did last night, being able to take some responsibility and say, hey, maybe I was just a little bit too aggressive. Maybe there's some things I need to just settle down on. The front 2 today, Greg, just have more pace than these 5. So they're going to settle out this 3rd place themselves. And when they come back to VIR, they're going to know more about this place and hopefully do better the next time.
You talk about the pace, Jay. The leaders out doing 36.7s. Their fastest lap for DeMario, he's done a 35.4, 34.9 for Hank. So they've kind of backed it off. Normally in this class, we see that these bikes go faster and faster and faster per lap. But this group that we're watching right now, with now the number 40 of Correa leading the way, they're circulating in the the low 37 range, 137.2. So they're still losing about a half a second to the riders in front. But the thing we don't know is, with all the passing that's going on in this battle for 3rd, how much are they slowing each other down at this point? And now, Jay, what's happened with nearly 4 laps to go for this group, you got to be thinking, okay, where exactly do I want to put myself on the racetrack? Well, is 2nd in this group, 3rd in this group?
It's so hard, isn't it? Because they will be able to get 2 and 3 and 4 rider drafts when they come onto this straightaway. And you can see where Cody is right now. He's just a little bit off the back, but you watch. Time they get down to turn 1, that yellow number 12 will be on the back of this group as they come across 4 wide right now in front of where we are actually sitting. And then now it's just a matter of who's going to break latest, who's going to test the waters there. You see Ella's just going to drop in behind Bodie, and now that's going to be those 2 leading their way through the infield.
Tighter line for Dreyer. That was interesting. So obviously with Dreyer had been leading this group with a wider line out of 1 and 2 after, sitting back there for a couple laps. It looks like Dreyer's adjusted the line, but 65 of Bodie Page in 3rd place as we continue to watch this awesome battle. 40 is Correa, the 59 is Drain, 22 is Dreyer, and 12 back there right back to the group is Cody Kopp.
And just up front, Greg, I've noticed that last time by there was a 7/10 difference between DeMario and Vosberg at the line. So DeMario goes 35.7 to Vosberg's 36.4. Looking at the splits, about the same in the first split. In fact, this group here, Greg, they've been pretty consistently near, and this lap here they're 6/10 off in the first split compared to what they were even the last lap. So second split's coming up now, and 28.4 for the 2 leaders. Let's see what these 5 end up getting through here. I'm just trying to see the difference in where they might be losing some of their time. 29.3, so they're almost a full second, Greg, off in the second split compared to the first 2. That's why this group's 11.2 seconds back.
Back onto the straightaway we go for our battle for 3rd place. DeMario and Vosberg now since 6/10 of a second split the two, so Vosberg able to get a 10th back. Dreyer trying that outside line again, is going to come across the line in third this go-around. So that might be a dress rehearsal for Dreyer, thinking about what things are going to look like in 3 laps time.
And now Cody finds himself slotted in 4th in line here with Correa just underneath him. Correa might take that spot back. Yep, he does, takes that spot back. So right now it's a draft and repass, and every time they come down that straightaway, it's a bit of a test run to see what your strategy is going to be. Like you say, Greg, do you want to be 2nd, 3rd, 4th? Where do you want to be in that line?
Yeah, and the problem is that depending on where you are in this group, you're getting a much different perspective.
Yeah.
So a rider like Cody Kopp, that last lap was like, hey, I saw the 22 sitting there in 3rd place and draft to 1st. Do I have the ability to do that at 6'4"?
And they fan out, don't they? As they get to, this kink here, it's very interesting. With the start-finish line is literally right past the fastest point of this track, which is a kink in the straightaway. So the problem with being 4th or 5th is if you have a bunch of riders fanning out in front of you, even if you get a draft, there's nowhere for you to actually be able to pass. You got to try to make room. Vosberg's done a nice job here. Look at this, Greg, on our screen right now. A red split in the 1st sector for Hank, a red split for DeMario. They're probably going to drop back into the 34s on this lap. At least DeMario, his quickest to this point is a 35.2. He's out front pushing his own air and goes 35.1.
But Hank,
34.8 for Vosberg. Yeah, that's the difference in the draft down the straightaway.
Without question. So those two, like we were talking about, normally these lap times keep falling as the race wears on. Now coming across the stripe, it was Correa with 2 laps to go who was able to cross the line in 3rd with Dreyer, Page, Drain, and Kopp in that order. Boy, it's so complicated because you just don't know who's going in what direction when they come on. It's got to be anyone's game of these top 5 to finish on the podium. But we know that Hank Vosberg was able to close down almost 0.3 of a second to DeMario, as we expect that battle up front to continue to heat for the #1 spot. So it's heating up. Hank Vosberg there again with a lap and a half to go. The 31 we're talking about on that Tytler Cycles racing machine. Vosberg out of De Pere, Wisconsin.
He's almost sitting up. Like, he literally looks like he's sitting up through here now. So for Hank, he's done a really nice job kind of sorting out the 2nd sector. He's made Alessandro do all the hard work at the front of leading. And at this point, DeMario's got to be starting to think, am I getting played here a little bit, right? Because he has seen +0 on his board the whole time. He never would question DeMario's race strategies because he always seems to find himself at the front. Look, they're both going slow. This is what they're doing. Yeah, I could see that they're both kind of playing the game now.
Yep.
DeMario's, look at the top speed this time by. It's going to be nothing. Vosberg's not going to, he's like, I'm not going to lead. I'm going to let you lead. So the top speed this time, when they come by,
108. So they still 10 mile an hour slower than they've been going as the cat and mouse game on the last lap gets underway, and Vosberg's looking at him going like, what are you doing? The question is, what's going to happen here as Vosberg puts his head down now. He's going to try to catch DeMario by surprise.
He knows. I mean, Vosberg knows. I kind of felt like he was sitting there, so maybe Vosberg's thinking, all right, I'll drop the hammer here and see if I can get away a little bit or not. So we'll see how he feels. I mean, he did get to follow DeMario the whole race, but DeMario's been pretty good in this sector, the 2nd sector, and Vosberg's been good there as well, but he's been able to follow and have that carrot in front of him. It's kind of a fun race to watch right now because there's some strategies going on here for sure.
For the win on the final lap, DeMario has led most of the laps. Hank Vosberg and DeMario, they know each other. They're playing cat and mouse. What's going to happen in this last couple of corners? Hank Vosberg is going to try to put his head down. All he's got to do now is try to put in the best last sector. As he looks down at his dash to see what gear he's in. Here we go.
So when you're Vosberg there, now you've made the decision, I'm leading no matter what. He could have broke early, he could have done something, but now you just got to go because you've made the commitment that, all right, I got to lead down this hill, I got to do the best I can, and now we're going to see what the run to the line is like.
Oh, DeMario tries to sneak up the inside. He gets a good run. Here we go to the checkered flag. as Hank Vosberg shaking his head. They go side by side. The battle for third on the right part of your screen. And DeMario with the draft and pass to the line. Vosberg not enough time, and DeMario will take the win. And here comes the drag race, and it's going to be the number 40 of Julian Correa. Is he going to get drafted by the 65 as we go to the line? He will. And as they cross, it's going to be Bodie Page over Ella Dreyer. Correa, the sitting duck in 5th, Drain, and Cody Kopp.
These two are going to be laughing on the cool-off lap at each other because it just was one of those funny races.
Yeah, they're jawing now going, come on, man. Like, what are we going to do?
Kind of felt like that was what was happening there because you're not going to keep going through that start-finish line with +0 on your board and think to yourself, there you go.
Simone knows what's going on.
Yes, he does.
He knows exactly what was going on. Good racecraft from both of them, but, you know, it came down to Vosberg saying, all right, well, I guess if we're going to play this game, there's almost an entire lap to go. I guess I'll just put my head down and roll. And unfortunately for Vosberg, this time it didn't pay off. But for DeMario, guess what? New podium streak started. Yeah. He got one yesterday when he won the championship. He's got another one today. And when we get back, we're going to talk to him about how that whole race unfolded, especially that last lap.
Some good tactics at the end of that one, Rog, and Hank Vosberg just getting held out across the line. But that run towards the final lap was interesting.
Yeah, and both riders kind of had their strategy they wanted to play out, and Alessandro knew that whoever was lead, actually both the riders knew whoever was lead on that front straightaway was a set and duck with a drafting game, and you know they were both trying to play their cards right, and Alessandro was a little better.
As it is for DeMario, deserves a race win this weekend in the Talent Cup class. Dominated yesterday before his shifting problem, and then he ends up having a bar-to-bar scrap with Vosberg there. But I thought midway through the race, you'd have to say Vosberg was very impressive to be able to bridge the gap that had opened. It stretched out to almost a second at one stage, and then he was right there back with the race leader. So showed a little bit of tenacity as well as that racecraft at the end.
Yeah, and Hank's just been impressive all year, and really the last couple weekends as well. You know, you go look at this race, his best lap time is a 34.8. I mean, that is so fast on one of these Talent Cup bikes. He's just been impressive, and he's getting better. And what's really helping him out is he's been able to be in these battles with a guy like DeMario and really helping him elevate his game.
Yeah, once you're in those scraps, you give yourself the chance to learn an awful lot. DeMario, obviously, with his experience in the Twins Cup bike, has been able to put it to good use here in the Talent Cup throughout the course of the season on the Kramer bikes, and able to claim another race victory for Alessandro DeMario. And for DeMario as well, important to be able to bounce back from that. That shows a little bit of resiliency as well, Rog.
Yeah, and for him, he's had the pace, and he's just a really smart racer, and what he had to do on that last lap, that's not what you want to do, but sometimes in racing, you got to do what you got to do to get the win.
And see DeMario celebrating there with his crew down there in the podium area. We'll go back to Greg White and Jason Pridmore to bring us through the podium celebrations.
Parts Unlimited Talent Cup by Motul is brought to you by Parts Unlimited, an industry-leading distributor of aftermarket power sports parts and accessories. Parts Unlimited, we support the sport. By Motul, powering the future of racing. And by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
Welcome back to Virginia International Raceway, as Parts Unlimited Talent Cup by Motul gave us very interesting and entertaining last lap. And let the Italian speak be going, because DeMario having a conversation with Simone about what exactly was happening on that last lap. But here's those results. It is a 0.086 second margin of victory, and then that incredible battle for third. I mean, look at all of them, Jay. I mean, that's, what, 0.4 of a second covering third to seventh.
Yeah, crazy. Cody could never just kind of get himself in that spot, you know, like that was the thing. But they gave us a really entertaining race. Feel bad for Correa. Obviously, he loses 2 positions right at the line, but what a good battle for that final podium spot.
Let's get down to Jamie with our winner.
For Alessandro DeMario, it is his 5th win of the season. But I want to talk about that white flag lap. You had Hank Vosberg right behind you the whole time, and then we saw you set up. We saw you let him go. What was the strategy that you were playing?
All right, so the pace was insane, right? So I was like, there's no way he's keeping up. And I keep looking back, and he's right there. So in the first couple laps, he drafted past me at the line. So I knew he would get me. So I didn't know what the plan was, but it was definitely not going in the last turn first. So at that point, when he got to the last turn, I thought he was going to speed up and try and get the run. But we both slowed down. And so I was able to tell that he slowed down a little too much. So I was pretty confident he wouldn't be able to drive past me. So it was the weirdest race in my life, I'm not going to lie. But I gotta thank the whole Warhorse team, Mr. Faraci, Moto Liberty, KYT, Dainese, and just everyone that's helped me out. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, another win. But I heard him say it. The pace was insane. There's no way he thought that you were going to be able to keep up with him that whole time, Hank, there. But you were there right at the end of the race. What was going through your mind once you knew he was going to let you by?
Right at the beginning, I thought we were running like 36s because I didn't feel that fast, but I looked down my lap time and we were like a second quicker, so I knew we were getting a gap going on the people behind us, and I just wanted to wait behind him until the end of the race because I knew I could draft him. After that one lap, I tested it out, and yeah, just didn't work out as planned. He was letting off and I was letting off. We were looking at each other. We're like, who's gonna lead? And I tried to break away at that last lap, but had a really big moment and knew I didn't want to risk it. And then come to the last corner, just didn't time it right. And it was a great race. Can't get up to the team enough. HAC helmets, the Forma boots, everyone else is helping me. Grandma and Grandpa for making it way out here, and Akasato Brakes for making this fun race.
It was fun. I love the smiles on their faces. 6th podium of the season for Hank Vosberg. Moving over to Bodie Page, and mentioned the fact early on, he took it on the chin, didn't finish the race yesterday. You knew you had to be more focused, less aggressive. What role did that play in being able to get to the lead of that pack today?
Yeah, I had a really good start. I just missed the shift at the start. But yeah, we're on the pack for the first 2 laps, and straight away I knew I didn't have the pace. So it was just, I knew there was going to be a pack behind, so I just tried to be smart the whole race. I tried a few things to the line, and I just knew that I had to have one person in front of me and slipstream him to the line, and yeah, I did that perfectly. I couldn't have scripted that last lap better. So yeah, I just can't thank my team enough for supporting me the whole weekend, and all my sponsors, Revit, Mission, MotoAmerica, 64 Degree, and my parents, mum and dad, they do so much for me, and just, yeah, everyone who helps, thank you.
Takes the whole team. Congratulations.
Yeah, it certainly does. And, you know, when you're in those situations, Jason, and you're locked in your own battle, it's always good to come out on top. All right, so let's take a look at the standings and how they play out as we set sail from VIR for this category. And it's DeMario with 204 points, 44 now ahead of Sam Drain. And then you have Vosberg there with 51, Bodie Page and Ella Dreyer, your top 5, with Correa just 5 points behind Dreyer after missing our last event. Well, what a Parts Unlimited Talent Cup by Motul race. All these young riders getting experience in situations they haven't been in before. It's been awesome. Well, for Jamie, Jason, I'm Greg. Can't wait to see you at our next event.